So earlier this year, I was able to take advantage of a PlayAsia order and sale promotion that they had going on for free shipping. I ordered about 12 games, ended up bringing it back down to 11 because there was a sale that I was able to take advantage of on one of them, and so was able to edit my cart before it shipped. But overall, I think it was about 9 visual novels, like some really obscure visual novels that I don't even remember by the time that they arrived. When they came back, one shmup, and then an RPG that came in. So kind of wanted to go over what that looked like, talk a little bit about kind of the PlayAsia order process and that arrival, and kind of what that looks like in 2026, especially with the tariff impacts and everything like that. So without further ado, let's kind of get into what these pickups look like and some of the games that I was able to grab. So first off, of course, when you order from PlayAsia, you're always going to get some stickers, whether you order just a couple of games or about 11 or so like I did. So these are the 2 that I got as part of my order. But of course, we're not here for stickers, we're here for the games. Let's first get into that shmup, and that is going to be Death Smiles 1 and 2. This is one that I've had on my list for quite some time. I actually have the original Death Smiles on the 360, and this is a really nice copy that I do have with the original soundtrack CD. Like, it is in really pristine shape. I picked this up quite some time ago, and I'd been wanting the 1 and 2 collection for a while. I know it had released in North America on the Switch and PS4, but I've just been unable to track down like a decently priced copy with an ESRB label. But unfortunately, you know, that's kind of eluded me. Fortunately, PlayAsia had a restock of Death Smiles 1 and 2, and it was on sale. I think I was able to get it for about 21 or 22 bucks. And this is a game that, at least the Japanese copy, goes for something like $66, which is kind of crazy. And granted, that's the sealed version of it, right? So I think the complete in box copy, if I take a look here on, you know, price charting, is definitely significantly less. So it's right around the $28 or $29 mark. But still, being able to pay new for it cheaper than what it goes for is great. This is a Cave shmup, so Cave is a really great shmup studio. They make some amazing titles. You know, I know from Death Smiles already, but obviously they have some other ones. I believe there's some new releases that are being ported again to modern platforms, PS5 and Switch still. But really happy to have this as part of the collection. This is one that I've wanted for years and just have not been able to get my hands on. So at, you know, 22 bucks, absolutely stoked to have that. The rest of the games here are all Nintendo Switch games. So just wanted to give that kind of clarification up ahead. The first is just going to be the only, you know, technically RPG that I have, and this is Morero Crystal H. This is one that I've had my eye on for quite some time. I do have one of the other Morero games on Steam already, and I've been made aware of this franchise for quite some time. This is a combination with East Asia Soft, which is the basically publishing arm for PlayAsia, and Idea Factory, which is a developer known for their very cultured games. So if you're familiar with any of their other publishings, you kind of already know what I'm talking about. But I've heard very good things about this game. Was able to get this on sale, I think, for about $26. The new version of this, the new copy of this will go for about $48, $49 online. So quite a good deal in my eyes. And even still, once you open it, if you go to sell it complete in box, I think it goes for about $39. So definitely nothing to bat your eye about, but really happy to have this as part of the collection. One I've had my eye on, again, just like Death Smiles, for quite some time. Stays exclusive to the PlayAsia store, so that's basically the only way to get it new, unless you're finding it on eBay or some other third-party site. So really appreciate having that as part of the collection. The next 9 games or so, which is the rest of what I ordered, are all visual novels. So if you have a love or an affinity for visual novels, and you're like me, and you know your preference is to play them in handheld, then this is kind of that treat for you. So we'll kind of go just in order of how I got them. I may have to pause a little bit and kind of look up some of the names of them, because some of the covers have no English whatsoever, but they do play, all of these play in English. So just kind of wanted to specify that. Okay, so first up, in line with that, is going to be Dear Mirror Flower. The description on Steam for this one reads, "I am here in this world, a Japanese-style fantasy adventure by Kogago Studio. In this town, strange incidents never cease. Join Satori Mizuki, a girl who can read others' minds, and uncover the truth behind their supernatural cases." This one was not one that I originally intended or basically set out to get when I was going on PlayAsia's site, but it seemed interesting enough for me to be able to pick up. There's not a ton of sales information on this, either on Steam or on PlayAsia. There's rarely any copies I've ever seen sold for this. This came out mid-year in 2025, June of 2025, so there's not a ton of reviews. It is mostly positive of the few reviews that there are on Steam and what I've seen online, so I wanted to give it a chance. And I think I got it for about 24, 25 bucks, so I think it was worth the risk there. So that was the first one that I ended up getting. The next one that we have, Hatsumira, The Future Undying. This one I had possibly the least amount of information about. I was not able to look up a ton of reviews, and this was also possibly the biggest gamble out of all the visual novels that I was able to pick up. All I knew about this was that it's basically a fantasy visual novel. There's some rather cultured looking ladies on the covers. There's obviously English text for it, and it was quite expensive. So it was, I believe, $46 for this. And just that PlayAsia was the only place that seemed to be carrying a physical of it. So aside from that, fantasy, there's some cultured ladies on it. That's about it. There's some dragons, I think. So that's really all I know about this one. Kind of taking a chance on this one in particular. I promise not all of these are going to be like this. I know a little bit more about some of the other ones that are coming up, including Loopers, which is the next one that I have here in this stack. Loopers is one that I've been looking for physically for quite some time. When it originally came out, I was really interested in picking it up, but it seemed to fly out of stock. Like the original print of it did not seem to have a ton of copies. This came out on PC, Switch, and PS4. I believe this is originally released in 2023. It's also out on Steam. This has some very positive reviews on Steam if you go to take a look at it. The description reads, "Tyler is a high schooler on a mission. He's going to use every minute of summer vacation to go on as many GPS-assisted scavenger hunts as possible. After running into some old friends during one of these hunts, strange things start happening. The day resets and today plays out exactly like yesterday." So it is obviously a time loop, hence Loopers, from the name of the game. And it's got a really unique kind of art style to it as well. I'm really interested to play this one as well. I heard it's not too long, about the 10-hour mark or so. I know it is a kinetic visual novel. It's got somewhat of a horror vibe due to the time looping elements. So this is one, like I said, that's been on my list for quite some time. Excited to play that one as well. Next up, we do have one that I've also known about for quite some time, which is the Ever 17 and Never 7 double pack. This is kind of a more famous, not to say niche visual novel, because I know some people know about it pretty well, and it is on Steam. It is sold pretty well. Mages is the developer of it. It's kind of got sci-fi elements to it. I don't want to spoil too much about what these are, but Ever 17 and Never 7, as well as Mages, are well known in the visual novel space. So if you have had any kind of inclination into it, or if you've ever looked at what their games are, you're probably familiar with their art style. Spike Chunsoft publishes a lot of their visual novels as well. So just kind of look into those if you're interested at all in terms of visual novels. A lot of them are going to be Yuri themed, so a lot of girl stuff, but a lot of it has to do with tragedy, kind of overcoming that, and then turning that despair into something else. So really interesting stories overall. I'm excited to play through these. I've only dipped my toe into Never 7 just a little bit, but excited to have this on a double pack because I've never really known this to have a complete compilation. So I think if I'm taking a look back at my purchase history, I got the two of these together for about 41 bucks, which is cheaper than what they normally go for together on Steam. And I think the overall value for the two of these new is something close to $70, which is crazy, but excited to get that added to the collection. Next up here, we do have Dream in Her, and this may have a bit of a longer title that I'm missing, but again, I'm terrible at reading the rest of this. But this is also one that I'd had on my list for quite some time. I believe this is a more recent release. I'll have to look that up as we are kind of going through this here. But this is definitely one that I had on my kind of wish list for a while. It had gone out of stock on both VGP and PlayAsia for a while. This came out in 2022. On Steam, this does not have English language support for whatever reason. So the Switch version is basically the only way to play it if you want to have that English language support, excuse me. It is from the same creator of 7 Days and Lost Smile. Basically, it's about some guy who's dreaming of his ideal girlfriend, and it ends up taking the form of his childhood friend, and it ends up becoming the story. Again, I don't want to spoil too much about these because the whole point of visual novels is the story, but apparently it's very, very positively rated, and it's pretty cheap overall. 25 bucks or so, I think is what you can find it for on most of the sites whenever it does actually run in stock. Again, it is hard to find them from time to time, but it is something that I was really happy to add to the collection as part of the pickups. And this is future recording Crowded Shelf speaking to you on The Ancient Magus Bride Midsummer's Mirage, which is the next game as part of this pickups. I did not know a ton about this game when I added it to my cart here in PlayAsia, which is why on my initial recording I said and about 50 times when trying to scramble for some idea of why I even added this to my cart. The AI translation in this game is something that I have unfortunately stumbled upon in reading more about this, in waiting for this to be delivered. So I don't know if this is something that I'm going to put my full interest into, or if this will be anywhere near the top of my backlog when looking at this. That doesn't ruin a visual novel for me in terms of having that English translation be susceptible to that, but it definitely puts it lower on the tier because it can misconstrue the author's original intention. So don't know if this will be something that will be remaining in the collection due to that fact. Next up is Stella of the End, which is definitely a sci-fi themed visual novel if you can't tell from the artwork. This has been going in and out of stock, not just on PlayAsia, but Video Games Plus, so they've been carrying this one as well. I've heard great things about this one, so I am excited to dive into this one relatively soon here. This one was pretty cheap as well, so this one was about $22. On the secondhand market it goes for quite a bit more, so just wait for it to come back in stock and be reprinted, so you can get a new copy. It's also available on Steam, but again, if you can get it physically, because you might as well play it and then resell it if you don't like it or you don't want to keep it. But again, happy to have that as part of the collection. All right, next to last game here is going to be Abyss of the Sacrifice. This is actually, from what I understand, 2 games in one, at least from what I saw on the game's description and then the Steam listing. The description reads, 5 girls meet in an isolated underground city. As they slay and betray each other, what fate awaits them at the end of their journey? Hope or despair? Enjoy an immersive story, fully voiced and boasting multiple endings. Now, obviously, it's not going to be fully voiced in English, but I think it's interesting to see a visual novel have that much effort put into it, especially because, it's kind of more of a budget title. It's not something that I paid a ton of money for. I actually think I got this for $19, so kind of on a crazy sale. On Steam, I believe it goes for about 40 bucks, which is, a little pricey on the visual novel end. So it's actually cheaper to get the Switch version of this than for you to get it on Steam, which is usually not the case. So I'm excited to play this one a lot. I love kind of, murder mystery or betrayal stories. And this seems like it'll have some interesting puzzles and things of that nature as well. So this seemed like an interesting pickup to kind of add to the collection amongst all of the others here. The last one here is definitely the most obscure one. I had never even heard of this before I had added it to the cart. And I apologize if I kind of butcher this. This is Hokkaido Rensa Setsujin Ohatsuko ni Kiyu. From what I understand, these are 2 games in one pack. Old titles. And they are kind of murder mystery type things. kind of in the same kind of vein of the last one, but a little bit more obscure. Again, I looked it up at the time that I bought it, thought it sounded interesting. I believe it has to do with like disappearances and serial murders. I think this got released on Steam as well back in 2024. They have very positive reviews. I believe these were originally like maybe Sega Saturn or something like that releases. Still in the visual novel style with this really unique kind of art style to it. Again, no English on the cover or anything like that, but there is English on the cart. From everything that I read, fingers crossed, I'm obviously gonna have to do some additional investigating there. But this is a really, really obscure one. I had never seen it before. No one else from, you know, aside from PlayAsia did I see sell this. So wanted to, you know, kind of take a chance on it. This was the most expensive game that I picked up. This was $50 on its own. It goes for about 86 new, and on Steam it goes for about 45 just for the double pack of the games. So again, really obscure stuff, a lot of stuff I had never heard of, and I'm sure not a lot of people have played or heard of before. But again, a lot of these here are things that I'm definitely going to, you know, try out and hopefully report back on. In terms of the visual novel space, because I know it's something that I really, really enjoy, and I know whenever I do my collection videos, I know people like to point out that like they've never heard of a lot of these before, and it's stuff that I really enjoy playing. But again, there's also a couple that I was able to pick up as part of this order that I've been looking at for quite some time. So really, really, really happy to have Death Smiles added to the collection, and then Mario Crystal H I had my eye on for the better part of the original Switch one's life cycle. So really, really happy with these pickups overall. I think for these 11 games, if I'm looking at my total, I think with my discount coupon, shipping and everything like that, it was free shipping, but you know, factoring all of that in, these 11 games were about $311. So Amber is the color of your energy. Originally it was about $340 before some of the discounts. So I'm pretty happy with these pickups. I think the overall value for all of these is somewhere over $500. So I am definitely happy with those pickups overall. Let me know if you've heard or played any of these. Definitely would be interested to hear about that down in the comments below, since so many of these prior to picking these up I had never even come across before. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and a subscribe down below, as it really, really does help out the channel. Please check out the other collection videos as well. There are some really great, more niche and obscure things that I've picked up from PlayAsia in the past. This was a really, really seamless process. I ordered it. It was packaged up and shipped out in about a week, and then it arrived in my doorstep about 9 days after it shipped from Hong Kong. So 9 days from Hong Kong to Florida is pretty stellar. So got to give PlayAsia some props there. Again, though, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please let me know down with those likes and subscribes, and I will see you on the next one.